Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session, AI Agents in Order to Cash, Use Cases and Best Practices in Collaboration with Emagia. To introduce myself, my name is Kayla Del Piso. I'm a conference producer with SSON. I primarily do our HR Shared Services conferences, but I also do our flagship event, SSOW, that you may be familiar with, taking place this March. I'm here helping out our digital team with the webinars this month. So before we jump into the session time, I wanted to just go over some housekeeping. Firstly, this session is being recorded. You will have access to the recording after the event, but to interact live, there are a few tools to note. We have a Q&A function for you to pose questions to our speakers. We encourage you to do so as we reserve time at the end of our sessions for the audience Q&A. There is an attendee chat where you can make comments, so please let us know where you're dialing in from today. If you have any technical issues, you can also message me and my colleagues in the attendee chat, and we'll do our best to help you out with that. It's not easy presenting online when we can't see the audience. So there is also a tab where you can use emojis and give the speaker a thumbs up or a smile if you agree with their points. All of that being said, I'd love to introduce our speaker to you today. Veena Gundavelli is a Silicon Valley-based tech innovator and founder and CEO of Emagia and leading provider of AI-driven autonomous finance solutions. With over 20 years of software industry experience, Veena has been recognized among the top 50 CEOs in AI and honored as an Innovator of the Year by the Women in IT Awards. A social entrepreneur and philanthropist, she's also founded the TAL Scouts Youth Social Entrepreneurship and Touch a Life Giving initiatives supporting homeless students. Veena contributes to Forbes Technology Council and also holds an MBA from Stanford University. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Veena to the digital stage. And while she's giving a quick intro there, I'm also going to launch a poll for you guys. So welcome, Veena.
Mhm. Thank you, Kayla. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. We look to get started on this exciting topic today. But before that, please pay attention to the poll. How would you describe your current level of automation in order to cash operations? Okay, we've got about 31% mostly manual, 56% some automation with RPA tools and dashboards, about 7% having AR automation tools with predictive analytics and workflows, and about 7% having autonomous AI powered order to cash platforms. So that's fantastic. It looks like many of you are here to look at how do we go from manual, some automation to advanced and autonomous. So that's a excellent proportion of audience over here looking at this. So with that, let me dive right into how do we take this journey to autonomous. So today's topic is agentic AI in order to cash, unlocking practical use cases for shared services. I will try to orient the next 45 minutes primarily to give very practical use cases where it's more finance oriented. I will try to keep the technology buzzwords to the minimal and try to take this journey more from a finance, and order to cash practitioners' point of view. So with that, a little bit about, let me see if I'm able to move this. Okay, yeah. A little bit about, who we are, what we do. I'm the CEO of Emagia. Emagia is a leader in autonomous finance for order to cash. We've been in the business for over 15 years, innovating and providing thought leadership to the order to cash space, bringing in new technologies, especially artificial intelligence to this space. Our focus is primarily on shared services, GBS, complex global operations, that are high volume. And many of our customers, are large enterprise customers. And our mission is, how do we drive financial performance for our customers, by using technology to drive, efficiency and intelligence. Again, we work with many partners. We work with, again, many industry associations out there. Also, a little bit about Emagia, our recognitions. We've been recognized as a thought leader. We've been recognized as the innovator and the forefront in the space by many industry analysts and industry associations. And these are some of the recognitions that we have. So now let's come to the topic of order to cash. Our entire focus has been around, hey, how do you bring in artificial intelligence and provide one singular platform across entire order to cash and remove friction, remove inefficiencies, and see how you can accelerate this in a fast order. So the goal has been continuously to figure out how can we bring in AI first, 80% of AI and 20% for carry out the escalations and take the insights and drive it forward. So that has been a continuous journey, and we'll share with you especially how agentic AI can get this closer to the metrics that we're talking about. So now what do most companies look for when they say, hey, we want to aim for a world-class or a digital metrics? So this is something, again, Hackett Group, coins the firm, digital world-class. And some of the metrics over here, again, on the order to cash side, orders, to be, able to get into the system in a real time or near real time basis. Your credit, approvals, happening in a real time or near real time. Invoicing and the presentation happening digitally, e-invoicing and e-payments happening. And what does that mean from a cycle time perspective, right? Cycle time, order to cash cycle times are aiming to be real time, near zero cycle times. And what does that mean from a metrics perspective? Current performance, on the AR, 80 to 85% or higher. Auto cash application rates, 90 to 95% or higher. Credit approvals, 80 to 90%, going without human touch, automatically getting delivered. And what does that mean from a cash flow and, working capital optimization perspective? Obviously, better cash flows and better working capital management and cost saving. This is a big factor. Everyone is looking at, hey, how can AI improve, my productivity, my team's productivity, and how can I cut down the overall cost of the operations? A typical finance team of $1 billion company, has approximately about 1% of their revenues tied up into operating costs for the finance team. And AI brings in that efficiency to be able to reduce that significantly. And we'll walk you through some use cases as to how you can go about doing that. again, I've put a standard, order to cash slide. Typically, some of the things, that are possible, especially reducing inefficiencies, impact on DSOs, impact on costs, and manual effort, right? Deploying an AI powered solution or an autonomous finance solution can significantly impact DSOs. This is just a example case, of one such organization, that, had inefficiencies around, collections, credit, disputes management, cash application management. Deploying a solution can reduce, DSO. Deploying the solution can reduce the cost of, overall operations almost by 50%. Manual touches, reduces significantly, on the process. So let's look at, what does that mean, right? What does that mean for the organizations, and what is this shift that is happening within the companies that are, again, beginning to see such significant advantage with technologies. So what is happening? So a little bit of a journey, right? If you look at most finance organizations, they have, again, there has been a continuous shift. There have been manual operations, and then, hey, I want to reduce my, cost. And, at some point, companies did outsource to lower cost, areas. And then, here comes, technology like an RPA or rule-based automation. And, companies have adopted, some level of rule-based automation. And then, here comes, generative AI, or, here comes, some, level of intelligent document processing and all of that. And now the next level is, how do we go to an autonomous finance organization? And today we're going to talk about how, technology is able to lead organizations to this autonomous, finance state. So let's look at technology. How did technology itself evolve to help us move in that particular direction? First and foremost, from a technology perspective, right? As I said, we have gone through the manual, the rule based, if then else, kind of, programming, coding, and then we went into RPA to achieve some levels of automation. And then we have seen machine learning systems, look at historical data, understand, customer payment behavior, etc. Right? So we have seen that also getting embedded into the organizations in some shape or form. Then we have seen deep learning, where AI systems are able to read your documents. AI systems are able to extract, whether it is OCR or NLP, those kind of things, right? So all of the deep learning technologies have also started, taking inroads into finance departments. And then comes generative AI. We have all seen with ChatGPT over the last couple of years, things have exploded. Every person in their, everyday, personal life are using, the ChatGPT or some sort of generative AI for, their everyday questions and answers and productivity. And now from there, it's entering into the finance departments. It is generative AI is becoming more and more prominent, for bringing out analytics and, the speed of thought, into the operations. And the next level, what I'm going to introduce today, and I'm sure you're already hearing, 2025 is the year of agentic AI. Every organization, every department is looking at what is this agentic AI and what is this transformation that is going to be produced by agentic AI, and how does it impact finance organization. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Agentic AI is, AI that can perform actions. Now, remember, when AI got introduced, whether it is through machine learning, it was giving patterns. We were able to see the patterns. deep learning, reading documents. It was able to extract, show us something. Generative AI showed us the summaries of, how you can generate a summary and read from the summary. But agentic AI is something that can take action. So what is this agentic AI and how do we understand this better? So agentic AI is that part of artificial intelligence that can autonomously act towards a specific goal. Okay, and let me elaborate. They can take a goal and autonomously go towards that particular goal. How do they do that? They perceive, they understand the environment, they reason, they can figure out the logic, they can decide, and then they can take actions. And we'll go through that today, how all of that comes together. But a quick analogy before we even put this into the finance department, the quick analogy is, again, the autonomous vehicles. Most of us, all of us, are familiar with autonomous vehicles these days. How does an autonomous vehicle operate? If you look at, the maps, for example, whether it's a Google Maps or, any other maps that you're using, the maps provide you the direction to the destination, right? So as your car moves, it is automatically able to sense which direction your car is moving. And based on that, it is automatically adjusting your route to the final destination, right? So your car is autonomously driving you towards the destination. And especially with the autonomous vehicles, they have sensors even looking and perceiving the data on the road. So they're bringing the perception, the sensing of the data, and then the map both together, and now driving the whole vehicle towards the destination, right? So this is autonomous driving, autonomous vehicles. Now imagine having this in the finance department. If your invoice is able to figure out how it can take itself to the customer, and how it can remind the customer for the payment, how it can interact with the customer to be able to take the payment or take a dispute or take a promise to pay and come back and park all the notes for you, and you can get the insights and you can figure out how you can optimize your operations in a better way. So that's the direction finance is taking. Again, there are many processes we will talk about as to where you can apply autonomy and what levels can you apply autonomy. And while we have a futuristic state of full autonomy today, you can still have small pieces and portions of the process that can be turned into autonomous process. And that can be achieved by understanding what is agentic AI and how can agents help you get here. And an agent, just like how in the car, the agent is able to sense the data on the road, and the agent is able to look at the maps and continuously lead you to the destination, right? So there are agents in the autonomous vehicles. Now, these agents are coming to the finance department, and let's look at what does that mean for us. So first of all, what are these agents and what kind of frameworks do they work on, right? And I will relate this primarily to the order to cash, so that way it comes closer to the process that we're talking about. So first of all, in order to cash, okay, just like how the sensors on the car read the data, in order to cash all over the place. We have data in the ERP systems, like all the transaction data, the customer data. We have data coming in payments coming in from the banks, the bank feeds. We have emails, coming in from different customers, and CRM data coming in, with the sales and customer service. We have remittance portals, giving in information, or customer portals where invoices are supposed to go out and remittances are supposed to come in. We have all of that. So there's data all over the place. On credit, we have data in the credit, bureau reports. We have information, out on the internet about, customer bankruptcy information, or other news about the customer. We have market information, we have economic drivers, indicators out there that can influence the business. All of that data is what agents, again, can perceive, or should perceive, or should understand, right? So perception is a big portion of an agent to operate. Again, at a large scale, at a very futuristic stage, they can, an agent should be able to understand all of these pieces of information. At a very point solution, if I want, an agent to, simply look at my bank feeds and, give me, daily cash positions, or, alert me when something, it dips below a certain range, etc. I can only, point the agent towards a certain feed. So you can have, again, perception set up for that particular agent, depending on you want a general purpose agent or whether it's a very pointed agent, right? So one is perception. The second is around planning. What do you want your agent to do? Okay, so just like how when you have a human assistant on credit or collections, join your team, you give certain instructions from, standard operating procedures, and you give, certain rules, or certain, ways to communicate. All of that, can be given to the AI agent, and the AI agent will be able to take that as the context, as that as a guidelines or the rules. And we'll talk a little more about, constraints and other things. But give all of that pieces of information to the agents. And then the third is action. How do you want your agent to act? When do you want your agent to act? For example, I want the agent to send a reminder letter, when, the account is, more than X amount of overdue, for example, and if it's not a major account, or if it not, whatever be the conditions, right? You can set conditions and set the action of what exactly you want the agent to do. And we'll walk you through some of that, today. And then the last is the goal. What do you want the goal, to be set for this particular agent? For example, you want this agent to, have, optimization around DSO for a particular customer, or, for DSO for, an entire portfolio. You can set a goal, and the agent takes in all of this information and continuously, just like how the car senses the information around it on the road and continuously drives to a destination by, navigating the, maps and taking you there. The agent acts very similarly, taking all of the information and taking, again, planning is the direction, and then taking action, right? And let's walk you through some of these today. Now, one of the key blueprints is obviously, I think, ability to connect to existing systems as well as outside systems. So especially your agents, to be able to connect to existing systems is critically important for your agent to do, anything about it. However, there are agents that can also take, simply taking your documents or your CSV files, or maybe you have an AR report, you can simply put in an AR report and initiate the action, right? So you can take it along that ways as well. So, once you set up the agents, again, the agents, again, you've seen in the RPA bots before, where the RPA bots, once they set into action, they do the same thing repeatedly over and over again, faster than any human can do. The difference between the RPA bots and the AI agents, the AI agents, you don't need to set up so many rules, or you don't need to set up if then else, all of these different conditions. Imagine if I have to program the way my car has to go from my one destination to the other destination. If I have to program, take a right if so and so, or take a left if so and so, the amount of programming that I have to do, to take the car from one place to other with so many ifs, buts, and all of that conditions is, it's almost, enormous. Now, if the agent is able to perceive, automatically figure out a decision whether to go to the right or left based on so many different conditions that happen on the road, then that agent is, again, that's the autonomous AI agent. It is able to understand, perceive, and take it forward. It doesn't need all of that rule-based if then else. So what does that mean from a finance department perspective? When you have these intelligent agents enabled in your organizations, they become your digital assistants. They become your digital, co-pilots, counterparts in the team. And the future of agentic AI is that you can have, again, any number of digital assistants, that you want within your organization. You can define that particular agent. You can give a role to that agent. You can, again, give certain actions it needs to be done, and then it does repeatedly. So what does that mean for finance? Finance departments can become scalable as organizations grow. You can grow your digital teams. You can be more efficient, and again, have these very customer centric and human centric, so that way it becomes just like how you use every day, your Google Assistant or a Siri or Alexa, how you use that every day, you use them right within your organization. Now let's look at what is this agentic AI, and how is this all coming together? So there are new type of systems, that are emerging in the market, and these systems are called agentic AI platforms. So these systems are giving you the infrastructure to, create your agents, and for the finance user, these systems give, like a command center where, if you want to have 10 agents, if you have 100 agents, this is your command center where you can create your agents and you can manage your agents. Now, these systems are also, again, very visual and no code kind of development systems, meaning as a finance manager or a credit manager or a collections manager, I can create the agents without having to deal with coding. I can simply click and create an agent in natural language, and I will walk you through how it is done today. So this is a command center where you create your agents, you manage your agents, and you can also track your agents. What are your agents doing? And, how are they working, right? All of that you will be able to, monitor and meter on this. As an example, some of the use cases I'm going to walk you through just so this concept, comes, to life for you, I'm going to introduce Emagia's Agentic AI Studio. It's called the GIA AI Studio. And I'll walk you through how an order to cash professional, order entry manager, or a credit manager, or a collections manager, anyone can create their own agent and how they can make it work. So let's give some examples. Again, there are emerging other vendors are also doing this. I'm most familiar with our system, and I'll walk you through our system. So the goal of this system is, how can you build an AI agent in a few minutes, right? How can you grow your AI agents force? Okay, so what does what do you need to build and define an agent? So first and foremost, for any agent, I think it's what is really important is to set the context. Just like how you onboard a new employee, or let's say, for example, if you're hiring somebody to handle your I want you to go every day to 3 different portals, Amazon or Walmart or Costco, and bring in all of that information for deductions and remittances and payments processing, and do the cash application, for example. So you can give an entire context around what is it that you want this particular agent to do, right? And what is the context, and what are some different terms and all of that, right? Define instructions. What task do you want it to do? Do you want it to simply generate a report and give you a summary, or do you want to give a particular analysis and give that to you, or you want it to go post it somewhere, etc. So define the instructions. And then we point that out to add the skills. Again, what the word skills is, again, ability to reach out to certain places, for example, taking ability to go get the information from ERP, or ability to go get information from Amazon portal, or ability to go get a Yahoo Finance get a statement from Yahoo Finance. So select what skills that you want your agent to do, and then finally you can deploy the agent, right? So there are 4 or 5 areas, and we'll walk you through some of the how can this come to life. So as an example, okay, so this is the agent studio, where again it's with a very simple definition, right? What is the name of the agent? What is the name you want to give to your agent? What is the description? What do you want this job role to be for this particular agent? And give specific instructions as to how exactly you want this particular agent to function, right? And then as we talked about, right, point it out to the knowledge base, whether your ERP resources, or whether it is some SharePoint files, for example, or a particular website. You can point out where it needs to grab that knowledge base from. And then actions, what actions you want that to perform. Triggers, when do you want that action to be performed, or when do you want the agent to get activated? All of those things, you can simply set it up just by using natural language. There is no coding. The studios give you templates to be able to create this. And once you set this up, right, then that's when you can start getting some agents. I have created a few agents, on my agent studio, and I'll walk you through some of the things. Like, for example, I want to monitor, some of my major customers as an example. Okay, I want to monitor, hey, Tesla, and I want, the agent to go, to Yahoo Finance, every quarter, bring the report out and give me some analysis reports over to me. And I should be able to ask any questions for that. So this is an example of, I've set up that agent, and here it is, went to Yahoo Finance, grab that particular data, it presents, some kind of a summary. And whatever questions I ask, to help me understand things better about this particular company, it will be able to do that. So this is a very simple, agent. Another agent, I want this agent to go to Amazon, portal, and bring my account information every week. I want this information to be processed, and I should be able to, understand, what are the payments that are coming in, and what are the codes, other things, right? So I simply want to be able to, ask questions and bring information. Again, you can set up a summary to it, etc., right? So this is one such example of, going to some external portal, bringing in information. Another one, for example, I think this is going into my ERP system and bringing in some sort of a cash receipts information, which bank and what's the status of the payments, receipts, cash receipts, what's happening, etc., right? And again, you can have visuals, and you can have plots and graphs to match up for your whatever you want the agent to do or present. Another one, I want this agent, I have my logbox, with JPMC. I want this to be able to extract and, give me daily information. So this is another one, right? So these are some examples, right? So again, a lot of questions I'm sure are popping up in your mind as to, oh my God, this is an AI agent going to different places, and how can I trust this, and how can I stop this from doing something that it is not supposed to do, or how can I make sure that it is compliant, how can I make sure that when it is reminding a customer that it's using a professional language and not really crossing the line on other things, right? So one of the key things to set up agents is what we call as guardrails. And this is the word that you will, hear over and over again when you talk about agents. Guardrails are basically constraints, that you put on the agents. Constraints as well as, making it more responsible, right? So, as an example, you can set up policy guardrails. You can, put in specific policy documents and say, you cannot exceed, or you cannot, go beyond XYZ. Regulatory guardrails, for example, you cannot accept so and so data, or you cannot take so and so data. Or approval, guardrails, if it is more than so and so, then, you're not supposed to act upon it, simply give me the information. So like that, again, various different type of guardrails can be set up, in a system. Again, you can start small, with a very limited scope, and with an agent that can do a simple, gather information, give me a report, or gather information and send me an alert only if so and so condition happens, right? So your initial journey can again start out with something very small, but at the same time these systems are capable of taking complex policy documents. These systems are capable of taking complex rules. So let's look at again, how do we start from simple to complicated or complex or advanced? So there are 6 type of agents. Again, I'm giving this to you primarily for academic purposes. Those of you who are, starting out for the first time with agents probably will, again, spend a good chunk of time around the first one. And then as you advance and as you see larger systems, like the Emagia order to cash platforms, that's where a complex combination of these agents come together into the platforms. So the first one, a simple AI agent. Okay, so it is a simple reflex rule based action. For example, every quarter, go to Yahoo Finance, check for this customer's financial analysis, and if so and so condition happens, then send me an email or put an alert on my inbox or something of that sort. It's a very simple thing, right? So that's a very simple agent. And again, you can take that particular agent and define it with a simple natural language. Or these days, even if you have like a diagram, you can simply upload the diagram and then the agent is able to understand, right? That's a simple rule-based action. The next is model-based, or understanding the context or understanding the awareness, right? So what is understanding the awareness? I've talked about like the car sensors, looking at the road and understanding that to be able to figure out what's the next, should I accelerate or apply brake, etc., right? Context aware. So like this, context aware is let's say in the collections world, understanding, hey, this customer is again going a little slow on their payments, but at the same time they're doing some amounts of disputes, and also again they've given XYZ number of complaints. In this particular context, what kind of letter should I be able to send, or what kind of action should I do? Should I escalate this to so and so? I'm monitoring all information coming from that customer, whether emails or CRM data. I'm monitoring the past payment behavior. I'm monitoring the trend. And now based on that, should I alert the manager? Should I escalate this, or should I send a gentle reminder to the customer? That is what is called context awareness. Okay, model based building. The next is goal based. What is a goal based agent? Goal based agent is just like how you said, hey, here is the destination I want to go and give me the map. A goal based agent is, hey, here is the cash flow I'm looking for in the next 13 weeks, and give me a plan for that, right? So that's the goal based agent that will work backwards, and every day it is looking at the context and adjusting your map going towards that particular cash flow goal. That's a goal based. Utility based, again this is making adjustments and tolerances and other things, right? A cash application wise, I'm okay to apply this if it meets that, or if it meets this, etc., making some trade-offs for the best results. Learning and adaptive, again some of these learning agents, especially, on the customer support front, to be able to learn from previous history and to be able to make that, interactive conversations, based on that, learning from that particular specific customer. That's an example of learning agents. And then, finally, multi-agent collaboration. Imagine if, you have, a bunch of simple agents, a bunch of complex agents, but you want to have one, large agent to be able to, work with all of that, right? Again, for today's academic purposes, I'm just laying this out to you. I don't want this to look like, oh my God, it is so complicated and so complex. That is not the idea. The idea is, here is how you will see this evolve into, into the organization. And these are different types of agents, that you can have. You can always start with a simple reflex rule-based action and then graduate that, to move along. Examples of agents, right? You can have an agent that can, do credit checks and scoring, so simply, you know do scoring and, continuously look for, again, data from external systems, internal systems, credit application, and do the scoring. You can put a guardrail of, hey, approve this if it falls between so and so numbers. Otherwise, I want this to come, back onto my inbox, right? So that's an example. An invoice, generation AI agent, or a cash application matching agent, or a collections that prioritize my, collections activities for today. And here is an AR report. Take this AR report and prioritize, how I should work on it, right? So that's a collections prioritization agent. Disputes agents, forecasting agents, all of that. And again, we'll walk you through some of them. However, in large systems, complex systems, like Emagia, where we have an entire order to cash, these systems, again, these systems manage multiple agents, and underneath that is what we call as orchestration, as to which agent can talk to which agent and which agent can give more information to the other. You can enforce policy engines. You can, again, have tool adapters connecting to multiple ERP systems. And of course, having some sort of a memory store of histories and all of that. So let's take an example of, again, multiple agents coming together on a credit risk. For example, data, initial data gathering or data ingestion. You can have an agent that can bring in data from multiple different systems into, one credit evaluation area or credit assessment area. And then you have risk scoring agent, to be able to do, all of the risk scoring, for example, right? Only focused around understanding the risk, understanding the credit scoring, understanding the credit policy. You can have another agent which primarily looks at doing a recommendation, yes or no, can this take it forward, not take it forward. Another agent, having only auto approvals, monitoring the auto approvals. Another agent for fraud detection. So you can have 5 different agents, but you can put the agents in orchestration to be able to conduct one specific process. So this is an example, right? So like this, there are multiple examples. But before I go to that other examples, I'd like to request for a poll of, our second poll on, which order to cash area. Go ahead, Kayla, please put on the poll. So let's have the poll. Okay. So which strategic priorities are driving automation for you, and specifically which area of order to cash would benefit the most from intelligent agents? Is it credit? Is it collections? Is it cash application, deductions, cash forecasting? What is the area that your organization can benefit the most by having some intelligent agents? Okay, that's interesting. So we see a majority of you saying collections and cash applications is the top priority, and then followed by deductions and dispute management. So, that's an area I'm sure, majority of your operations, both cost wise and productivity wise, collections, cash applications, deductions, and dispute management seems to be, on the highest. Excellent. So now let's look at closely some of the ones, right? So we talked credit and cash application agent. So cash application agent, something that can take data from the banks every day, process the bank statements, remittance advisors, payment processing, right? Now, applying computer vision, deep learning, OCR, whatever be the models, to be able to parse the information, apply, invoice and payment matching. And remember, in the, in the data intake, the agent should be able to read emails, it should be able to read documents attached in the emails. All of those things are taken care by this agent. And parsing all of the data documents, matching. The next is order posting, and of course, routing the low confidence ones, over to human staff. And today, I'm happy to say that this is absolutely possible with 90 to 95 percent accuracy, and 90 to 95% auto posting is already happening. And this is where, if you're still looking for, increasing your automation, it's absolutely possible. And cash application is one of the area where you can see the value of AI, coming into your organization and creating a real tangible impact and a solid business case for applying AI. The other is collections. I know over 30% of you talked about collections. What can these agents do? Agents can, do automatic segmentation based on customer payment behavior, risk profiling, and all of that, right? So automatically segmenting that. They can do, again, ranking, prioritization of which invoices to get follow up or which accounts to follow up. Recommendations of strategies, which strategies can you apply and what is most optimal. Outreach, agents. We have a GIA call agent that is actually automatically calling, making conversations with the customers and bringing on that information. You have letters, with digital agents embedded within the letters. You have customer portal, giving again, digital assistance on the customer portal, taking in payments, presenting invoices, disputes, etc. Right. And finally, monitoring, overall, your cash collections, monitoring all the responses, figuring out, is the customer sentiment good or bad? Is the cash flow forecast, looking, closer to ideal, etc. All of that can be done, with multitudes of agents. And this is where, again, on collections, you can set up the AI agents, to be able to do majority of the collections, and only have, the escalated accounts, come to the teams. Finally, dispute resolution, very similar things, integrations with your Salesforce and other systems, to be able to take the dispute reason, and do the reasoning classification and carrying it through, the entire approval cycle. We have seen, again, I know a majority of the audience over here are on CPG and manufacturing and financial services. On the CPG, deductions, coming in from various different online portals, to be able to set agents to, take information, have an Amazon, data analysis agent, have a, Costco agent analysis agent. You can have multiple agents coming in, and, accordingly, based on whatever you're finding, if you want to take internal approvals, internal reasonings, you can set that in motion, with this entire process. Dynamic dunning, okay, multi-channel reach out, how do you want to send reminders, across various different channels, and how do you, automatically do personalized communications, right? So these are some areas, and I know we are hitting at the bottom of the hour, so I'll try to rush up through the next few slides. But there are, good topics over here, and a lot of questions around, hey, can AI be biased? Do we see hallucinations? Is data privacy a big issue? How can we stop this, etc. Right? So a lot of these things are being addressed, by the AI systems, and these there are compliances, certifications, and other things. Guardrails are important. Yes, these are all emerging technologies. A lot of testing and making sure that things, act in a certain way needs to happen. So there's a lot of controls, that are available in the agentic studios to be able to set up these risk and compliance controls. And my advice to some of you, who want to try out these agents, again, you can go through a small program. You can, try out, some of these agentic AI studios, where you can just build a small agent for yourself in minutes. But, if you want to put it in your enterprise, take it in, small ways, and we have a program to walk you through that, and, have you experience agentic AI studio, and having your AI agents in finance departments, right? So we have a program. We'll be happy to guide you through that, and we'll be happy to handhold you through that. And my simple advice is, start with a very, very simple agent, your own agent, and every person can have their own agent. Create that, and then walk, walk, crawl, walk, run. Right. So that's the right way to go, and take it forward. And again, big thing to note is AI agents and agentic AI is not a future, it is present. And companies are already doing this in 2025. And by 2030, most companies will be having this in the center of their finance departments. So get started, try to understand what this is, get your hands on, some of these agentic platforms, and, start experiencing the power of AI agents. So with that, let me take a pause and take any questions you may have.
So we're right at time, Veena. I do have some questions. So we could take, 5, 10 minutes, try to run through all of them. And if not, you're certainly more than welcome to follow up with the attendees via email to answer their questions in more detail.
Absolutely.
The first question is, what is the added value that anybody can create an agent rather than having a global team to standardize the agents globally? And then I'll tag on to that because we had another similar question. If anyone can create agents, who is responsible for what they do? So kind of a two-parter there.
That's a very good question. Okay. Now, in the past, especially with the RPA agents, it was IT department, or some level of combination of IT and business, trying to drive that as a centralization. AI agents, can be, used by a user. For example, I'm a manager, and I want to monitor just these 3 accounts, and I should be able to create my own agent to monitor just those 3 accounts, for the next whatever 6 months, right? So the power of the AI agent is liberating the agents to the business users, and personalize them, and use that power. You don't have to depend on IT and some central command to be able to do whatever you want, right? So that's the power of this AI orchestration studio, AI studios. Yes, multi-agent, and when you go to really complex systems, you may want to centralize that, but otherwise these are your personal agents, and go use them and make yourself productive.
Wonderful. Another question, how do you manage and solve the challenge to automate the cash application process and remittance advice retrieved or extraction from customer portals when customer does not provide API connectors to their portal and has certain security restrictions due to recent cyber attacks, such as a credential restriction to third-party tools? How an RPA or agent can overcome this challenge? Do you disclose to the customer the usage of agent to automate the process?
So again, a lot of these agents or bots, they do have restrictions. When customers, put restrictions on their website specifically, and again, there are case by case basis. You need to operate on, figure out, what's the best way to work with that particular customer and that particular piece of information. So again, there are most major vendors, or most major companies are offering APIs and connectivities. So I think you'll have to work with the anomalies in a different way.
Absolutely. We'll just have one more minute here, so I'll try to get out these last couple. What is the typical time for implementing a solution, for example, in the area of collection as level 1 or 2 solutions, including both, seeing up the base for being able to deploy an agent and running a pilot for proof of concept?
Sure. So first and foremost, if you want to have a very simple agent, for example, I have an entire AR report, help me prioritize. That's a very simple agent that can give you, take an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file and then give you a prioritization. That's a very simple thing that can be done. Again, in minutes or days, or at the most about a week. But if you're talking about entire collections management, we're talking about across again entire shared services with multiple business units and others. anywhere, from about 8 weeks to 12 weeks, or, larger, depending on, how complex your organization looks like. So it all depends on, again, number of how you want to roll this out, simplicity wise, one standard process or one simple thing, or have it a lot more complicated with personalized, again, letters and reminders. And so it all depends on the complexity, right? A very simple thing can, go, again, 8 weeks to 12 weeks implementation. A lot more complex can go a lot longer than that.
And last question here that just got put in the chat, is there any practical example of agents which is working on SAP, ERP, and Salesforce systems?
Yes, in fact, on the on the Emagia AI Agent Studio, we have built, several agents that are pre-built. You can, simply use them, or, take them and, customize them. Again, when I say customize, again, it's all on natural language, no code. We have built connectors, taking the SAP order to cash information, the Salesforce CRM information, all of that. So it's available. Happy to give more information on that. Again, on Emagia website, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to spend more time with you, giving you more information in general about agentic AI, as well as whatever we have on the Agentic Studio. I'm also available on LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect and, follow me, follow Emagia. And we are trying to spread as much information as possible on agentic AI for order to cash. So feel free to connect to us in different ways. We're happy to spend the time.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Veena. Fantastic presentation. And to reiterate what Veena said, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Emagia and the team. So thank you so much, Veena.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks for giving me this time to speak to you. Thank you.